Oh, by the way,
All
I
right,
will actually.
all right, we are live. Surprise, Steph. I'd already hit the button, but yeah, welcome to everyone to Freedom of Speech Week here on the channel. I know we talk a lot about hex, pulse chain ecosystems, Bitcoin, some TradFi, but in the spirit of election week, nice hat, Brandon. Um, and hopefully, everyone coming out for crypto with their voting. Um, we see a bright and shiny path forward. So I thought this would be a great week to bring some projects slash founders that aren't always on this channel, and maybe this is just a way of expanding this channel's audience. I always think it's good for everyone to learn about new protocols that at least somewhat community vetted. I mean, we're all familiar with Steph. I've always gotten along with him. I like his work from past projects, websites, apps, whatever. And I'm really curious to learn about Alti. So that is the intro to Freedom of Speech Week. And I will ask Senor Steph, how are you doing, sir? Good to see you.
Hi, thank you for having me. I think last time I came on was maybe a year ago or so. It was with Jenkins talking about TA markets and all that jazz. I remember
Yes.
before he left Twitter. So always a pleasure just to be on board. As I said publicly, I love the show. It's very smart, very fun. I love the games that you put together for the guests. So. And today, yeah, I'm meeting Brandon for the first time. Congratulations, Brandon, on launching some nice protocol. I played with it. It's nicely done. The branding, the UI, the contract, very original. So happy to have you on board to learn more about ULTI.
Thank you, Steph. Likewise. Thank you very much.
And Brandon, who kind of got introed by Steph there, but I'll throw it down to you. Good to see you, my friend. And like Steph was saying, you recently launched the Morpheus. So how you been? And tell us a little bit about what you've been up to. Seems like you've been a wee bit busy lately.
Yeah, a wee bit busy. So first thing I did, I said, going back about 3 or 4 months, we launched Build the Technology LLC. The website is buildthetech.com. So that was an endeavor to give people a place to be able to build Web3 and Web2 applications without fear of being screwed, because that happens a lot across cryptocurrency. So we've launched that. We've been helping out a variety of clients, not only individuals, but enterprise level clients as well, and a couple other folks. So excited about that. Excited that we're able to provide that service to people. We had been watching TitanX for a long time, ever since its launch. Got pretty excited about it. Had a couple community members kind of come over and say, hey, we should build on TitanX and answer the call. So we decided to launch Morpheus on TitanX. It's done tremendously well. I guess about $1.5 million worth of TitanX at this point is now in the Morpheus buy and burn, more or less, depending on the day. And that's a substantial buy and burn that's probably slated to last, maybe 1,000 days, 3,000 days or more, which is very nice as well. And we're also in the process of building a TitanX centric aggregator for that community, specifically tailored towards that community. The goal with that is to have that out approximately maybe December gift. How about that? So the details of that aggregator, they're not completely out in the public yet. No future promises, but it could behoove you to stay tuned to some of the developments moving forward. And then also Q1, Q2 of 2025, I'm excited to talk about some cool things that are going to be happening on Pulse Chain as well. So yes, I've been very busy. I've been very blessed and very appreciative of all the support from folks out there, and happy to be pushing the message of freedom and financial liberty for cryptocurrency and for people all over the world, specifically through the Trump movement. And that all comes to a head today. So grab your popcorn, grab your drinks. Let's effing go.
Yep, that's what I'm going to be doing around 7 o'clock. We have one more show on this channel today with Buck and Dylan. Curious to get his insights. He's been trying to do some spaces, but I think his voice has been letting out on him. So hopefully it's back, because it's been a couple days since he was going to try that spaces. So that's at 5 o'clock Eastern here. Steph, I heard you before we get into Alti, which, obviously that's what we're all here for. I did hear you, talk a little bit about when you were on last time, and Jenkins was here doing some TA. You've been doing some TA of your own this year. I've kept up with your Twitter account, and I was just, kind of ribbing you, be like, oh, you missed one or two every, way back, but really your record has been stellar so far this year. Just wanted to, I guess, get your opinion on it, because with Bitcoin above 70K right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's currently acting like you have been saying it would, I guess, for close to a month now, maybe more than that, in your most recent tweet. Obviously, you had tweets earlier on this year with the overall yearly path, which it has pretty much come back to being at. So what are your thoughts on the Bitcoin, Ethereum markets? Is the election is just like a blip? Even if Kamala Harris wins, is it just a quick down and then we're still in a bull market? Obviously, if Trump wins, my personal opinion, we go to all-time highs like overnight. But what's your feel for, I guess, the rest of the year, and maybe when this bull could possibly run out of steam?
I think, contrary to most people, I don't think that the election matter that much. I would prefer that one of the candidates wins over the other, but I think crypto is here to stay. There's more and more millions of people throughout the world every month that gets onboarded to crypto, that understand about. If you ask anyone in the world, do they prefer a freedom solution or something where intermediate or in the middle, until once they try something, they start changing their mind. So with regard to TA, I think I called the mid-cycle top back the 14th of March this year. I said like Bitcoin would go down, the rest of crypto would go down. I called it 1 hour before the top. And it went sideways throughout the year. I did multiple calls that were fairly accurate. And that was, I think, on early August. I mentioned that everything would go down violently, which was the case. I thought it would go around 52K when it was 70. It went a bit below at 47 or so. And it would rebound for the fall, end of the year, between November and December. We were right on point there. I even drawn that last projection 2 months ago, and even predicting the current the current latest retest that we're going to, like, from 73 back to 60. I don't know where we are now, 67, 68. And so from that point on, it's up only. I'd be shocked, and my confidence is really high. I said 90% if we go below 65 at this point. So I actually call a couple of friends that are not in crypto, that have spare money, just to further invest.
Nice. So do you think, I guess, 100K inevitable this cycle? I have my own personal viewpoints on where we could go, where we could top out, but just general, people love price targets, and I know a lot of people don't like to give them, but do you have a number or two you could throw out there?
I think this number will just be like smash, because every year you have, unfortunately, hundreds of thousands of people that lose their crypto, right? That nobody talks about it, but nobody cares that much about security and the weaknesses or the drawback of using or being self-custodian. It comes with a lot of responsibility, and most people have been trained for decades to trust third parties, which means that you have, by default, in all assets, some deflation that is never accounted for, regardless of their current tokenomics.
Yep.
That's for one. And then more than politics, just the money supply globally, not only in the US, but globally, just is inflating. So that's what drives prices, inflation. And regardless of who will win, be the next US president, I don't think that any of them is courageous enough to pull back on money supply, or destroy what has been printed. So because of the lack of courage, we will just keep on partying until some people will suffer at some point, because some of the investor holding like dollars or bonds at some point just won't like what's happening to their savings. So I think that's my overview. I think we'll have a good party next 12 to 24 months.
Oh wow!
And
Okay.
I mean, it could go up for a long time. I mean, I never underestimate the ability of politicians just to print more money. So they will do whatever it takes to be elected.
Yeah, this is true. I think 2025 has been a target for a variety of influencers / TA minds out there, just because of, I guess, the 4-year cycles of Bitcoin. It's like, if it isn't broken, why would it break now? And we top out either mid or late next year. But you said 24 months, which could be very interesting. But yeah, I'm just bullish on the entire space. I'll be giga bullish depending upon the election results this evening.
Actually, I'm looking at the S&P 500 and data from the 1920s.
Yes.
To the 30s, the crash, and that's what I'm going to be looking for, because we are going exponential on multiple fronts. And I mean, we know what happened in the 30s. Then it's a lot of pain, and sometimes that can end up badly at global level. So I hope everybody can make some money, be rich, invest in the right stuff, protect yourself, protect freedom, try to be self-sustaining in energy production, food production, because we never know what happens down the line. So,
yes, sir. And while you were speaking, Big K, how you doing down there, sir?
Fantastic. Glad to be hanging out with you guys. How are you all doing?
We are outstanding. Just a little pre-Alti chit-chat on some politics and crypto markets and intros and all that, and letting the chat fill up. We're on multiple channels. We're on, I guess, the Alti channel. We're on our channel and multiple channels. Twitch looks like we're multiple YouTube streams, X. So good to see everybody that isn't here have questions. I know Steph's going to go through a good bit here. I know he's talked about it on a variety of shows, but perhaps a lot of eyeballs still have not seen or heard or have had time to learn about Alti. I haven't learned about it as much as I'd like to, just because I'm involved in quite a few ecosystems, including traditional markets. And I'm looking forward to this next 30, 45 minutes of discussion. And I'm happy that Brandon and Big K are here, because they always ask excellent questions. And I know both were also interested in Alti. So with that being said, Steph, I guess enlighten us on Alti.
Yeah, so ULTI, there's a simple pitch for it and a more advanced pitch for it. The simple version is a protocol that incentivizes users to collectively save or drop their Ether, or it would work for any native token or any token. The smart contract is very generalized into a common pool that is called the pump pool. People refer to that often in the space like a buy back and burn contract, and that pool is buying back the token on the market. So 97% of the Ether that's going to be launching on Ethereum with some Ether as the input token. So 97% will be in the pump pool buying back the price of the token, and 3% will be building automatically and scaling up liquidity. So 3% of the Ether will be paired with auto-minted ULTI to build up liquidity. So this is a simple version of the protocol, there is some revenue attached to the liquidity pool. Any trading fees on that canonical liquidity pool will be usefully recycled into the protocol for the Ether part of the fees, and the ULTI part of the fees will be burned. So the more trading, the more chances, the more volume, the more fees, the more chances it is for the protocol to generate revenue and ULTI to become deflationist. Yes, that's the simple version. Now the second question is like, why would anyone want to put their Ether into a pool, especially when the pump rate is fairly slow? It's calibrated to utilize the pump pool at 33% of utilization rate per year. So it's fairly small compared to what's done out there. So which means that the second year, 50% of the pool is going to be utilized if there's no more Ether obviously being added, and by year 5 we'll reach 90% of the pool, right? So you're virtually basically staking anyone depositing. Oh, you have some background noise. Is that me? Oh no, that maybe.
No.
Yeah, so you're virtually basically having everyone depositing their Ether being virtually staked because the value of the ULTI basically will grow as the pump is being utilized, and the reflection of the economic energy drop in the pump pool will take a few years to be reflected back to users, right? That's in a nutshell. Now, so why would anyone decide to do that, right? To be virtually stuck into something where there's little liquidity to extract the value, the Ether that they just pulled in. Well, there's a couple of incentives, and the incentive are paid with inflation, reasonable inflation, but inflation nonetheless. The idea was the following: most protocols out there are focusing on. Let's step back. I want more people in the world to use freedom tools, right? In order to do that, I wanted to build something that attract people. And the best marketing tool in crypto is green candles. You can do whatever you want, twerking, dancing, buying stuff, being the best marketer on the planet, being funny, entertaining. It doesn't matter. People don't come when the prices are going down. We've seen that again and again. It has nothing to do with crypto. It has to do with any market. People love green candles. So I was thinking, how can we build a protocol that is more likely to go up over time because of that reserve, right? It's like collectively all the depositors agree. It's like, okay, we're gonna all together collectively DCA in, buy back the token. And in order to do that, I focused a lot on demand. So there is 3 main bonuses that will help with sustainable demands over time. The most important one is called the streak bonus. As its name implies, if you're depositing consistently some Ether, the input token, cycle after cycle, every 33 days, well, you're just adding more bonuses to the stack, right? And it goes up over time until 33% if you sustain a streak for a long time. So the caveat for that streak bonus is paying very well, up to 33% of your deposit in ULTI, but it's really hard to sustain, right? If the price of ETH goes up, or if you don't have enough ETH, you will just break your streak and have to reset it again and again. The second bonus is, this one is the most simple. It works really well across all businesses. It's a referral bonus. It's the 2-way referrals. There's a bit of innovation here. I wanted both the referrer and the person being referred to be ethically aligned, right? So there's no one shilling a product in which they're not vested in. So for the referrer to touch their bonuses, they will themselves have to have skin in the game. That's the name of the feature, and having deposited some value, right? And the third incentive is, this one is the most exciting to me. It was very exciting to design. It's called the Guardian bonus, or the top contributor bonus. So for every cycle, every 33 days, the people that are depositing the most, referring the most, or the combination of both, they're basically competing in the ranking, and the top 33 gets an extra bonus, and that bonus is variable depending on how many people are depositing during the cycle. So you could have like cycle that is not competitive at all because not many people are joining, and you could have a cycle where it's very competitive and so many people are joining that the bonus you would get by being top contributors could be significant in terms of capturing some of the inflation. And that bonus is the 3% of all the ULTI minted by all of the depositors during the cycle, and is concentrated over distributed to the top 33 contributor prorated of what themselves they have minted. So I can show maybe a piece of the UI that would make some sense, I think, for you guys, for that last one. If you have any question, that's in a nutshell, I think, the project, right? You have the first piece is the buyback and burn with revenue from the liquidity pool. It's nearly 100% reflected, like 97%. And the second piece is all the incentive to get people to deposit their ETH into the pump pool.
I liked when you called it the vortex. I like that name.
Sorry, you will see on the website is like it's something that is there. The end game is very simple. It's not the best to speculate on prices, but the idea if the project is successful and reach critical mass, you could foresee if you move from 10,000 Ether to 50,000, 200,000 Ether, that becomes one of the largest ETH well in the ecosystem. And that creates incentive for it's completely immutable, decentralized. I have no control over it. There's no fees. I'm putting a lot of money into the project myself, and so that's the marketing. At that point, the referral doesn't matter anymore. It's like the largest decentralized pool auto buying the token in the Ethereum ecosystem will be the pitch for anyone to join in, right? And at some point, Ethereum stakers or people on the sidelines with their Ether will have the choices to be on the sidelines or just contributing to the pool.
Any other questions before
yes.
move on? Yes.
Yeah.
Before we get some visuals going here.
So some stuff that I'm like, I think I understand, but just want to also be a little clear on. Streak bonus. Something that is interesting for me about the streak bonus. It is the amount of Alti that you mint per streak has to be greater than the previous one, or the amount of Ethereum that you put in has to be more than the previous one.
The latter.
Which am I? The latter. Okay, so
Ethereum.
it's just the amount. So if you put in 1/10 of an Ethereum 1 month and 0.11, whatever, a little bit more each time, even if the value of the Ethereum is different, like in dollar terms, you've put in more Ethereum, right?
True. So if you
but you may, if I understand, you might get a lot less. I mean, you should over time get a lot less Alti in the future than you would early for the same. The same amount of Ethereum, So you're going to get less Alti, but you're going to keep your streak bonus.
It's impossible to say because it depends. It depends how many people are buying versus selling, right? So if you assume for reasonable prices over years, there's this tension about how fast the price is raising versus how much you're being paid by doing your DCA in. The streak bonus is a DCA in. The buyback and burn from the pump pool is a DCA out. Everything's about long term here. There's no there's a bit competition from the Guardians bonus, but for the streak, it's really
you against yourself.
You DCA in, and if your DCA in is slower than the DCA out from the pump pool, then that might not be the right strategy. It's really hard to say. I'm suspecting that some people will sell over time. I'm not I'm not delusional, so I think it pays really well. Obviously the price of ETH, the ULTI versus ETH, is to watch out for, as I mentioned, and the price of ETH versus dollars, because if you started saying, okay, every month I'm gonna drop in 0.1 ETH, and the price of ETH does a 10x within the next 5 years, you may not have enough ETH by that point. If the product itself is very successful and make ETH even more rare on the ecosystem, it could put the pressure on the price of ETH and make it even harder for you to sustain your streak. So a smart investor that want to engage in the streak bonus would want to basically save a stack of ETH today,
Save that as
and
something.
split it in chunks that they're going to allocate over time.
Mm-hmm.
And watching out, obviously, for the price of ULTI versus ETH, because you want the bonuses basically to pay better than the price increase. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's that's the interesting part about it. I was even in just the first 16 days of that model, that we ran yesterday or whatever.
Yeah.
I've been running some AI, I've been asking a lot of questions to the computer, and from what I see, it seems like that it's going to be difficult to see which one, whether or not keeping a streak versus just being in is going to be better. It's really, especially with the way, and you're launched. I feel like you're launching it at like the proper time too, to really make that an even more difficult question too. I think that it's
yes. So I wanted to solve for a few things. Beyond this buyback and burn revenue, right? There's just fairly simple DeFi concept to understand. I'm a huge board game, card game, video game enthusiast, and I know what games tends to be addictive, sticky, and it's always a combination between something that brings you back versus something that is hard to understand. So yes, competitiveness adds some tension, because you can imagine once you have 33-day cycles, and every 33 cycle, the top contributor could be whales, or just very, very good marketer, referrers, or protocol builders that use the referral link into their smart contract. Now they get highlighted in the UI as like, oh, these are the folks that are gonna get 100K split between themselves this cycle, or 200K, or 5, depending. So it could be 50, it could be 100, it could be one. If you have a lot of depositors, it could be up to 1 million in ULTI. That creates for huge content. So if you're a content creator for ULTI, every cycle, throughout the cycle, or every cycle, there's something to look forward to. Especially during the cycles, people are gonna take over that position, right? You may have people that are number 28, and then you have a few people day 20, day 30, day 20, 21, 23 of the cycle that comes in with a bit more capitals, or just doing huge marketing campaigns, and now their ranking is just increasing. And you thought, you started pumping because there's other bonuses. The top contributor on the only one that can reactivate the buyback and burn. You starting thinking you get the extra bonus of pumping by being a top pumpers, and you might not get it because you're just losing your rank as Guardian.
So is there any bonus to being the person that actually clicks the top contributor button? Like,
yes,
if
right now there's incentive. Only the top 33 contributors every cycles are the one eligible for pumping, right? You could be top a Guardian within a cycle and lose your status and try to pump, and you're no longer there, right? The top 3, so there's competition within the competition. The top 3 pumpers of the cycles, they get an extra 33% on their top contributor bonus, right? So it's very significant incentive to use the pump pool. I'm considering to reduce that down. Why? Because I want the Guardians to not to be incentivized to pump regardless. Because if the price of ULTI goes up organically, people buying on the market, right? There is a mania. There's no incentive to use the community pool and use the buyback and burn on top of a 1 month or 2 months of price action, organic price action, right? And maybe there's phases where you have downturn, where using the pump pool to sustain the price is smarter. So obviously the top contributor, the Guardians, whether because they're a referrer or because they contributed a lot of money, I make a fair assumption that they will be the one utilizing the pump pool the best. It's not encoded in a smart contract. It was at some point. I was doing on-chain calculation of the RSI, and you will not be able actually to pump if the RSI price signals were too high, right? It was adding a bit of complexity to the smart contract and gas, so I decided just to get that out and work at the surface layer, the application layer. So in the UI, you will see basically I will be computing different price signals, and if the price action on the market is too hot, you'll be publicly shamed on the website. Say, are you sure you want to use the community pool this way or not, right? And yeah, it will be in the feed. You guys may know that the feed I created for both Taker App and X.Live 4 years ago. So there will be a lot of gamification highlighting information on the UI app.
That's interesting. I wonder if social prodding, if there's enough, depending on which wallets they are, who's what if it works well enough. Because I mean, you're also benefits to being in those top three. So it's a financial versus social status. It's I like it. Yeah. I like it.
That's why I don't want to reward. There's an additional price. It's called the top pumper price. It's quite high right now. I'm considering to reduce it. Like it's 33% of what you would gain as top contributor, but it's very high because let's say you're in the top contributors. There's a lot of people coming in this cycle. There's the bonus for all top contributors is, let's say, I take a conservative number, 100K, right? Dollar worth of ULTI. You split that by 33, it's like anywhere between 3 to 10 grants wherever you are in the cycle. You get, national 33% on top of that. Could be 3K, 5K, 10K. Just because you pump the most, right? It pays multiple times the gas cost, and that you add over, clicking a few buttons. So I will reduce it a bit, not because they are paid too much. Not my primary concern. My primary concern is making sure that people are rightly incentivized not to overutilize the pump pool when the price of ULTI is growing organically. Yeah.
And if you don't mind me asking here, the buyback and burn mechanism, you said that's triggered by the Guardians, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rotating every cycle, 33 days.
Okay. Yeah. Is that like an internal thing? Is it publicly callable? How does that button work or that function?
Yeah. So in the contract, there is a couple of accessible function for different folks. The deposit is callable by anyone. Anyone can deposit some Ether. You can actually deposit some Ether, or you can even deposit some wrap Ether. There's active, there's two deposit function. You have claiming your bonuses, claiming your deposit 24 hours after the deposit. And the pump is public, but it's gated depending on your status. So if you're not a Guardian, you cannot pump. So you may be a Guardian at some point in the cycle. You may have been pumped a few times, and then you get outranked by someone else. Now, whatever you were expecting in terms of like top pumper bonuses, it needs to be foregone at this point. Yeah.
Got it. What are your thoughts, or like, have you guys? I'm sure you have. How do you protect that buy and burn contract from MEV extraction, because it's going to be a huge target?
Yes, so there are a few things that are being done for that. Obviously you have internal protection. You have an internal minimum set in the smart contract, but the users themselves can decide to set a minimum amount of ULTI that is expected to buy on the market. So users can fix how tight the supply they want to be. They want to be there. So the UI will do for users, but if someone were to call the smart contract directly, right, or from Etherscan, they'll be able to set the slippage as low as they desire to. That's the first piece. Now, the current liquidity pool is going to be most likely the largest initially, is a 1% fee pool. So that helps as well, just reducing, I think, MEV extraction on that front. And the pump rate itself is so small. I mean, when I say so small, every pump should increase. It really depends on liquidity and what the market forces are. But if no one is providing additional liquidity, the pump rate for any pump should be zero, driving up the price from 0.1% roughly, anywhere between 0.2 to 0.1. So small that it'd be interesting to see any MEV extraction on that volume. So because of the fees, because of the user specified slippage and the small pump rate, I'm fairly confident that it should be marginal. This is really important. This is really important for me because this is a very immutable protocol. I don't have any admin key, so
yeah. So just coming from a little bit of experience and taking a look at this quite a bit, the the only downfall for you is success, meaning that if you have a whole lot of participation and it pushes that wallet to 10,000 ETH, for example, at today's prices, even 0.0004% could make it potentially profitable for that sort of attack. So and that's not me, like, I'm not hurting you. I'm saying I've seen it everywhere. So just really brainstorm hard about that, because if that contract pushes up in value, you could have that issue.
That is why I think the liquidity pool is auto-scaling with the deposit of users, right? So you have like kind of like this like backstop of like, hey, it cannot go out of control where the pump pool is so big versus the liquidity pool, because you will have like at some point, actually the more people are, it will depend. It will depend if you how many people on top of the canonical liquidity pool or adding in terms of liquidity. That's something that I was obviously looking into just to protect the project on top of what the protocol will do. Yeah.
Cool. Next question is, and this is going to happen like within day 1 or day 2 of you launching. They're going to ask you, what happens when the pool runs out? What do you have planned next? That's going to be. So what do you have planned next? You got stuff planned?
For ULTI itself or another project?
they're going to want that pool to fill back up. That's going to be. They're going to ask you.
There is no expectation for me for the pool to run out. I mean, the incentive was strong enough. If the worst case scenario, obviously, is no one is depositing, right? There is not any enthusiasm on the protocol. We don't generate to do well, like the brand, the marketing that goes around it is not strong enough. The referral programs, because it goes down over time, is no longer sufficient enough to generate demand. Then it means that you have now a pool that will slowly buy back and burn the price of the token, and the incentive. There's no one any day for multiple months dropping any ETH. The incentive is for everybody to set up a liquidity pool, single-sided liquidity pool on top of the price, and the exactly one tick for everybody to set one tick above the price, and they will get as much ether spread across all of the different members, prorated to how much basically they put in terms of liquidity. So the worst case scenario, and so at that moment, the buyback and burn will buy up into that wall, infinite wall, and all of the ether of the pump pool will be distributed to all the members that set up that liquidity wall, huge liquidity wall, one tick above the price. The price won't move anymore. Some people actually may sell, cannot be patient and will sell into it. But this is the worst case scenario for the project. There's a downside, a fairly reasonable downside protection, because your economic energy is valued in ether and should be at some level reflected back to you. Cannot guarantee you're going to get 90%, 80%, 70%, or 50% of what you put in, but you will get something if you apply that worst case scenario strategy of putting a single-sided liquidity pool one tick above the price.
Okay. And then with regards to liquidity pool, I was scanning through the long form over the past 5-10 minutes here, and how that initial liquidity pool, is it set up via smart contract, or is it set up manually? And then if it is set up via smart contract, what's the trigger that causes it to create the initial liquidity pool?
You can see that you have a builder here, because that's asking very hands-on question about the detail of the protocol. Yes, there is one launch function in the protocol. That launch function takes one parameter, which is I call it the founder giveaway. It's quite a unique thing. It's encoded in smart contract that at least 33 ETH needs to be deposited to provide liquidity in the smart contract. And that launch function can only be called by the owner, the deployer of the contract. So in that case, that would be me. And once that launch function is basically setting up the liquidity pool, initial liquidity pool, and that enables, there's a modifier in the smart contract that enable all the other public functions by that point to be used by anyone. Yeah. Okay,
I was curious about that. Okay, and then the fees from the liquidity pool, are those is that liquidity position, that NFT sent back to the contract, and then you're able to scrape fees only, right? You're not able to transfer value in and out of that contract, I presume?
Yes. that launch function is giving basically ownership of the liquidity NFT position to the contract itself, and renouncing the ownership of the contract. So the contract itself owns the liquidity position, and so everything is immutable: the contract itself and the liquidity pool.
So the ULTI, I assume the ULTI will be scraped and burned. Is that a publicly callable function, or how have you done that?
This one is a fun one. Every small symbolic gesture, every cycle, the first pumper of the next cycle is calling by doing the first pump. At the back of that, there is a sub function that is called, and this is called maintenance. Yeah, performing maintenance task, and there's a few things that are being done. The main thing that is being done is distributing, doing the calculation allocation for all the different guardians of the previous cycle, because the cycle was over. And the second piece related to your question is processing the liquidity fees from the previous cycle, collected till the last time, basically. And yeah, that's once, if people are pumping the follow-up cycle, that should be done once a cycle, roughly. Yeah.
Got you. I think I completely understand your project now. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. And I think it's going to,
all right.
yeah, I think it's going to, just to be very objective here, I think it wins at least for the next couple years, 2 or 3 years. I don't, whatever happens after that, I don't want to delve into, but the creation model really works. I think most of crypto should shift towards the creation model. And that's what you're doing here. So yeah, that's what I think about your protocol.
Can you explain for the audience like what you mean by creation model?
It's when you take something of value and you mint this thing. Okay, so it's not pre-allocated. It's not given out beforehand. There's a unit of economic value that's exchanged for this thing instead of a unit of economic value that just is created out of thin air. And then you're using what was used to mint that unit of economic value, and you're stowing it away, and you're delaying the buy pressure over time. And there's psychology behind that, but you're basically not giving the decision to irrational human beings, and you're leaving it up to a smart contract to make that decision for them to be able to, push the price up. I mean, that's what it is.
It's even more subtle than that, because the buyback and burn, as mentioned, can only be triggered by the top 33 contributors. You will see how they behave, but you can make a reasonable assumption that because it's rotating every 33 days, you need still to compete, right? It's really democratic, and in the Athenian sense of the term, that you cannot be there forever. You cannot be in control of the pump. So
there's still guardrails there, though, which is there's certain periods of time. It can't be done like every 2 seconds, right? So what's the time period in between?
55 minutes every pump.
Yeah, so at every 55 minutes, and then if they don't use it, it rolls over, I presume.
It doesn't roll over. It's just at most 55 minutes since the last pump.
Got it. All right.
So actually, if the people are not showing up, the pool won't be utilized, and the 33% utilization target for the year will be less than that, right? So
and here's another thing I'm going to tell folks too. I think all of crypto needs to think about this and shift towards this, which is ultimately real world assets need to be stored as reserves and back your cryptocurrency if you're really serious about it. Because that backing is what speculators come in and take a look at to determine whether or not this is a long-term value play. And as time goes on and these markets continue to grow, those reserves subsequently grow as well. So I've seen a couple people start to think that way, but I think the big key here, Steph, for you is just like, what can you do to keep that thing filled or growing after the fact? And that's going to be some of the biggest feedback I think that you get from the community. I understand you say, well, it might not ever run out. That's cool. But what if it could grow? That would help it out too. Apart from price appreciation.
Yeah. I wanted to put into the smart contract. The strict bonus is a very good example. If there's anyone that doesn't have the means just to compete to be guardians, or doesn't have a huge audience, or is not a good marketer, or cannot build a contract to use that referral program, their default position is going to be, maybe I'm going to engage with the streak system, right?
Sure.
The streak systems incentivize people to come in month after month to collect your extra percentage. If you break your streak, you have a buffer of 3 months where you need to wait before you start accumulating again. So the punishment for building a streak and losing it is quite severe, meaning that there's psychology with some of the bonuses. To your point, these incentives themselves could be good enough in my test. I didn't want to add, I could have added 3 additional features, but then it complexified the project. There's a bunch of things that I have in mind to make ULTI more valuable over time. And some of these ideas have been highlighted at the very end of the white paper. There's 6, 7, or 8 ideas. Because you're in the Titan community, you may be familiar with some of these things. The thing I can share there directly could be, how do I incentivize the best streak? Right? If someone in a streak for more than 10 cycle, how we give them a little kickback there, right? So ULTI will be run by a foundation registered either in Switzerland or in France, in Paris. And ULTI.org will, as a third-party promoter of the ULTI contract, will be collecting some referral fees. These fees can be used for incentivizing people to promote, to do more things with the protocol, to build contract, and I know, Brandon, because this is a piece of your model with Morpheus, you're doing this lottery tickets and giveaways. So yes, this is planned out. This is built in. It's not in the smart contract level, like the way you do it.
Right.
It's the foundation itself is expected to collect a bit more referral fees than anyone else, as long as the foundation has skin in the game. Again, that's very important. No privilege there. And we use that ULTI bonuses to do community giveaways, incentivize people to adopt different marketing strategies.
Got it. I got one last question, Cabana. Sorry, and Big K, you can butt in too if you need to.
Quite all right. I got a couple audience questions, but that's it.
Okay, I'll ask one more. So I kind of scanned over the sniping. What do you have anything in place to push back against that when that initial liquidity pool is created at all?
Yes, so the contract, that was one of the first report of one of the editors saying, hey, you're deploying the contract, but then you have this launch function that comes later, and someone can just try to play some games around it. So once the initial liquidity pool gets created, there is, for all depositor, some sort of protection there. Because no ULTI is in circulation at this point, if you want to get ULTI on the market, you need to buy it right from that liquidity pool. So the expectation, if you're not depositing, you need to push the price up, even if you're bots competing early on. As a depositor, I want to protect you against any volatility in the short term. So there is an early bird price set for the first 24 hours, where you get the initial rate they set by the ratio in liquidity pool, and that's a little protection basically in your favor as a depositor. Yeah.
Got it. All right, thank you.
Before I get to a couple of audience
sniping, something about sniping in the sense of the smart contract. There's sniping protection, because the top contributor competition could be very intense by the end of the cycle. I implemented a function that doesn't let you doing last minute sniping on the last minutes of the last day of the cycle. So basically, you will see in the white paper is called sniping protection. You'll see the curve of how many kind of points in terms of discounted contribution in the ranking you would get if you're coming in too late. So I think there's a lot of innovation like that just to protect everybody.
Yeah, it seemed like you'll see a lot more action at the early part of the month then from that. Like the
first 20 days is expected, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah, and then like the last 5, it would be surprising if you're to see a lot of the big deposits in the last 5 or 6 days. Because that penalty is pretty high at that point in time.
It will happen because people don't read.
After my experience in the Hex community, it is very clear that people don't know what they're clicking
I've
often.
seen people clicking buttons and nuking their hex stakes to 0, which doesn't make any sense to me unless you're a big, Samaritan. But
yeah, and speaking of, I guess, staking and whatnot, is there a place in Alti? Because I appreciate like the referral thing, and it's a very active protocol. And especially there's a lot to gain for people who are the most active, obviously, as you said. Is there any place for a basic user of the coin to get in and kind of do like a set it and forget it and be like, yes, I'm participating, but I don't have the time to, try to boost my referrals, or staying with it and keeping track of every cycle. I just want to like be a part of it, but I don't have time to do it. And we've had some, comments in the chat and be like, wow, this is kind of over my head. I'm trying to get it, but I haven't gotten it yet. Is there a place for that kind of user?
Yes, in order of like level of commitment or engagement, right? The top contributor competition is the most intense because things will shift around during the cycle. Then you have referrals because it requires to do some work. The strict bonus is kind of cool because you can deposit once a day, once per cycle, and sustain your streak. So it's got every 33 days action, not that much. But for people that really want to look at years, it's alluded to at the end of the white paper that some companion contract may be created, and could be by me, could be by any committee members. I'm just outlining potentials there. You could have a staking contract, right, where you drop some rewards into it, right, coming from your referral, from your bonuses, and then depending on how long you're staking your ULTI, the more of the rewards you get. You could have, without even thinking about rewards, you could have a way just for people to set a function and forget it. A contract that lets you deposit whatever amount of ETH you want today and auto engage with the streak, for yourself, right? And it would be kind of a global function that gets called. You pay at least a little extra fees for that global function to be executed by someone else at some point.
Got it. I think that would appeal to perhaps some Hexicans who might be looking at it. We have some audience questions. I'm just going back a little bit here, and you may have answered this. I just want to make sure we covered them. Is the streak bonus only for liquid tokens in the wallet?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah. So
I can maybe precise.
Okay, if you want to rephrase maybe, but sorry. Go ahead.
All the bonuses, regardless referral, guardians, or streak, they get accumulated into one variables in the smart contract against yourself, and can be claimed every 99 days, right? So it's kind of a way just to delay. You're kind of stuck in that sense with the bonuses. It protects from people just destroying the tokenomics, right? So every 99 days, basically, you can claim your bonuses. That's about it. So they get accumulated every time you do a deposit. If you're within a valid streak, well, it could be plus 9% of what you do, you maintain in terms of ULTI, plus 20%, 30%. That amount is just accounted for and will be collected within this kind of 99 days period window.
All right. And as tweeted by the account yesterday, the Alti account, I believe there's a little testing action going on. Phase. So are there 33 cycles in the testing phase?
70, about 77. So I can talk very quickly about the testing phase. Can I share my screen? Or
sure.
Is that something you're doing here? I'll try to stay PG.
Nah.
All right.
It's not big K screen, so I think we'll be all right.
Good call.
All right. X. I hope that's the right. Yeah, that's the right one. All right. So because it's an immutable contract, and I want to make sure things are ultra secure. We're running right now, starting actually tonight. We had a dry run last night. 1 week of basically accelerated experience for playing with ULTI. So what does it mean, accelerated experience? The contract variables, cyclic contract variables, have all been basically divided by 365 to basically compress everything much faster. So 7 years will be compressed into 7 days. So we'll be able to see with 70 participants how the contracts behaves, what are the strategies that people, it's a small scale version, but what strategies people employ during this week, which will model 7 years of activity, right? So it's not perfect monetization, but I think it's exciting. And that testing is, I mean, the registration is now closed, but I think BK is participating. And the winners, there's $33,000 to win for the top 3 participants. I know it's nice to get, they're splitting 10,000 each, right? So I can show maybe how it would look like roughly. Present, stop sharing again. Okay, I hope I got the right one. Right, so this is the website. You have some information about the launch phase. For me, the most important is security. So I'm not launching if I'm not 300% sure that it's secure. I want my last security audit coming from the top auditor in the US, actually working with the US government, to come back pristine. So that's my target. And so we're going to be doing 1 week of testing. And so you have 71 testers right now that have registered. They are split into 3 cohorts. Some having 3 Ether, some having 33 Ether, and some 333 Ethers. And basically, they're going to all compete, right? Play the game. Because it's a small participation in terms of users, 71, will the top contributor, the Guardians, will be limited to become Guardians. You will need to be top 7 instead of top 33. So it's accelerated, and there's one modification on that boundary condition. And that's it. Yeah, people will be able to deposit, claim their ULTI, claim their bonuses. Referral is not relevant for that phase because referral can be spammed or Sybil attacked. You can imagine if everybody's saying, this is my friend that I'm referring, and you're just creating 100 of accounts, that would not work. So for the matter of like the testing, we've disabled that, especially because the testnet with a faucet. That's about it. And so, yeah, the UI is really cool. This is the vortex that BK was referring to. This is also the logo, and this is meant to symbolize the pump pool and in the middle, the liquidity pool that are all just coming together. There's a bit of sound animation. So the pump pool itself is the button to pump. Something very, very cool, right? There's no other pump. The logo is the way you pump the price. And as soon as you pump the price, there's some nice animation and sound, and it gets reflected in the UI. That's about it for a very quick walkthrough of the UI. And so a lot of people will be able just to play tonight, I think, in a few hours. And it's visible, it's live, so it's visible for anyone. Everybody will be able to see all the testers and what they're doing, who's pumping. We'll add more feature to the UI throughout the 7 days of testing. There we go.
I bet you I know someone really excited for this.
Yeah, it's a bit rough because obviously every cycle should be 33 days, and if you accelerate them right now, it's 2 hours and 10 minutes. So very hard to engage in a streak if you're working or sleeping, like most people do. So it'll be interesting to see who are just try harding just to get different kind of bonuses depending on your cohort, right? Because the smaller cohorts cannot really engage with the top contributor bonus. But yesterday in the dry run, we've seen that some people have burned the entire stack of ETH from the faucet into the first cycle, which was very surprising to me. But again, it looks like some people never read. Or that could be a strategy that I'm not aware of, right? You get in at the base price and you expect the price to go up forever. because obviously I'm just integrating, maybe not for tonight, I didn't have time today, but for tomorrow, swapping in Uniswap feature just for that pool, to be able to
That's what.
swap your ULTI for ETH or the reverse. So if some people want to trade, they can do that, because the winner in each cohort needs to be the user that has the most ULTI plus ETH in USD terms.
Yeah, that was when I noticed that you didn't have the trading set up yet, and it was going to be a while. I was like, fuck it, I'm just. I was one hard in the paint there early, because I was like, man, well, nobody's going to be. There's only one thing you can do right now is buy and deposit. So like, I was like, until that stuff shows up, so until there's the sell button shows up, I was like, I'm all buy right now. But it's fun. I like the testing features are neat. I'm excited about tonight too. I had something to do last night, so I was only on for the first couple hours, which is all that we got. So it's perfect. So I'm set up for tonight, ready.
Yeah. So there's some expectation actually that because the swapping feature is not there, that once it get released, that some may sell off, some of the bonuses or not. But we'll see. Maybe nobody's selling, and is that indicative of what people will do in real life? We'll see.
And I guess it's good to have all these random actions in the test phase, just to make sure that, everything, the most random scenarios are being tested before it actually goes live. So,
yes,
it all works.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. Like the feedback and what we learned from it is super cool, because like I said, I've been spending time asking AI a lot of different stuff about it, to get different models of how things could run. And this is by far the best. I mean, you can't ask it everything, So seeing what people are actually going to do is super cool. So I'm excited. Can't wait to see what everyone.
If there is popular demand, I mean, the goal is to get as much feedback, the contract level, the dApp level, the concept of the project itself. This week is incentivized testing, right? There is a price bounty at the end of the 7 days. Well, I haven't decided when I'll just do the payment, but it should be coming this month. If there's popular demand, we'll be running just for fun. This one's gonna be not incentivized, but let either the contract running, or just restart from zero for people to learn, try new strategies, because we're not launching until a few weeks, probably early December, and that lets people just play even more with the contract, maybe enabling more testers. We'll see what I'll do, but I want the opportunity for people just to learn even more about the tokenomics.
All right.
Are you going to give like a week launch pre? What kind of window are we going to get once audits are done?
That was one of my
3
questions.
days, 5 days, 7 days.
I haven't decided yet. I think I will just gauge based on market, based on mood, based on. I mean, security is the number one, but once I know that everything is clean, there's no reason to delay. I think if things are ready, let's push it. So just a couple of days, I think. Just, hey, this is happening this week, and so could be 3 days.
I'm all
because,
about that.
I love the number.
I see that. I like it.
All right, just a few more, over an hour here, but there are a couple more questions I want to get to in chat, and a wonderful comment from Polar Knights. Sweet mother of God, I love this show. It is the perfect evolution of beard growth. Thank you, Polar Knights. All right. Shout out to November beards here. Fabio, glad you could join us. You mentioned earlier this week that Alti would be present on other chains. This is a big picture question, I guess. Can you be more precise in how it would hypothetically work on other chains?
Yes, it echoes the question from Brandon earlier. Ethereum is expensive, slow, and even though it's kind of a cornerstone of DeFi and crypto at this point in time. I mean, I know a lot of people that were in the Bitcoin world and moved over to have fun in the EVM world, it is clear that if we want mass adoption, which is the goal for the project, you need to be where people are. So if people are on Pulse chain, ULTI needs to be there, right? As this demand is growing, we need to be there. If people are on Binance, we need to be there. If we are on Base, we need to be there. There is one strong requirement for me, is that the chain should not be halted, right? So the level of decentralization of the chain is really important. Because the contract itself is immutable and cannot be restarted. So economic value will be stored there and could be lost. How does that reflect in the value of ULTI? Well, I don't want to share too much of my secret sauce, but there's a way. The way the contract is designed at the moment enables to increase significantly the value of ULTI on Ethereum if the same contract, like sister contract, gets deployed on other blockchains. And it has to do with the evolution and the maturity of the market, where more and more bridges are trustworthy, decentralized and trustworthy, reliable enough to expect that they're going to be around for a long time.
All right, and just a couple more here. Where are we at? Can we stake the token in future for a percentage of people who sell so we can get some fees? Asked Crypto Profeta.
Yes, there's no staking at this stage, but add-on contracts that take ULTI as an input will be built either by me or community members. It's not clear. I mean, once the contract is launched, it's immutable. The only thing I can do is just build more on top of it. So that's I'm retired, so that's the only thing I can do is build. And if you're successful, it motivates you just to do even more. So the question that the Crypto Profeta just asked today or yesterday on X was, it's a shame that the economic energy, the ULTI, the Ether in the pool is not utilized to get some yield, right? You could use the full amount or some amount of it and say, oh, let's just doing staking or doing DeFi yield or farming here and there just by using that ETH. I agree with that statement. You could get a few percentage point of yield and redistribute that yield back to all users, or even pumping the price further. However, you add third-party contract risk, and more often than not, these contracts have admin keys or oracles, and so I want my invention to be protected against any of these scenarios, things that I've not audited myself, and so getting a few percentage point of yield there is not worth the risk, in my opinion.
There you have it. And last but not least, when will trading begin for the test?
Yeah, that's today I've been just focusing on the ranking. So there's a few things just in terms of stability just to fix on my end, and once it's done, I just jump into trading. But yeah, that's a one man team, guys. So just bear with me as I'm just adding more features to the UI.
Boom. There you have it. That is all the questions from the chat. Big K, Brandon, any other final queries for 0xStef?
Can't hear you, Big K.
I feel like we'll have to have you on again after testing phase, maybe a week after the testing phase, to really have a good breakdown of it too, because I definitely will have more. I for sure will have more questions. But at the moment, I'm pretty satisfied. I'm excited.
Yeah, I hope you guys learned a lot today. So
awesome. Well, thank you, Steph, for stopping by. Greatly appreciate it. And some people with that kind of mindset, like Brandon, immediately get this thing. Will within like 10-15 minutes. Others takes longer for me.
157x or 137x, Steph?
So yeah, so the price analysis there it's been done I think 2 months ago. It'll need to be redone based on the ratio, the liquidity, and a couple of other parameters. So the exact number might not be accurate there. So the other things I'd like to mention, Brandon has an advantage compared to others. He's himself a builder So he's been through a lot of questions himself recent moments. So he's fully tuned into tokenomics building and adding value for his community.
And I like those types of founders. I do two things when I choose crypto investments. It's based on if I like the protocol and or like the founder. And if it's got both, outstanding. So I've already invested, perhaps, maybe put a little in the Morpheus ecosystem. Perhaps.
Run away, run as far as you can. It's not worth it.
So yeah, I'm very curious about this one of Big K and Brandon R. So yeah, thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate you taking the time, and yeah,
with Morpheus you go down the rabbit hole, and with ULTI you go down the vortex hole.
There you go.
There you go. Well, as we do each and every show, let's just go around real quick and shill ourselves, starting with you, Steph. I mean, where can we find you? Where can we learn more about Alti? And anything else that you want to show? Go right for it.
Yes, I'm mostly on X. I don't engage with other kind of social media too much. So it's 0xStef, and yeah, I'm just building 0x ULTI, or you can find more information at ulti.org. So I'll be live streaming almost every day until launch. So yeah, during the whole testing phase, and so you will see me around more and more. Woohoo! More reds.
Let's go crypto. Brandon, where can we find you? And I believe the Morpheus mint, were you midway through already?
Yeah, midway through. Over 208 billion worth of Morpheus that's going to be given, of Titan X rather, that's going to be given as an engagement bonus to 10 people at the end.
How many?
208 billion.
Yeah.
So that's at today's prices, that's roughly 20 some $1,000 per person. So that's pretty cool. And we've got approximately let's see here, about 1.3 or 1.4 trillion Titan X in that as well. But you can find me in the deep, dark trenches of the internet, pissing people off as much as possible. You can also find me at the voting polls. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't voted, please go vote. You'll find me on the couch tonight with popcorn and drinks to watch the fireworks. And just stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to get weird. It's going to get fun. And just be emotionally prepared for whatever happens. You got a family to take care of. You got yourself to take care of. Don't lose sight of that.
Well said. Big K, where can we find you, sir? I think we'll be able to find you here in a couple of hours, actually. I know where.
Yeah, you'll be able to find me right here in a couple of hours. Yeah, that's right. We'll be hanging. This is the all business stream. Notice my glass of water. Soon we'll be into the all fun stream here in a little bit. I will not be worried. I'll be living on an island far away from all the madness that y'all are partaking in. I respect everyone else's decisions and all the rest, but I don't get to make them, so that's cool for me. But other than that, I'll be playing around with Steph's invention here tonight. I'm excited about that too. So you find me doing all those things, and here whenever on X, showing and talking about crypto stuff. So that's about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good stuff. And shout out to Steph's channels that he's streaming on. So we opened it up for you guys over there. So thank you for watching.
I can answer. I see these other questions that came in for me here. I'm in the largest cohort for the thing. I got the full 333 stacks. So get ready for me to push some weight around tonight. and then this is a Milgauss. That's for TJP down there. So, anyways, that's all I got.
There you go. We've shilled watches and shows and everything else. So, yes, I was the host for this wonderful, knowledgeable group around me. Cabana Crypto Show. This is Freedom of Speech Week. We're talking all sorts of stuff. We're back on in 1 hour and 40 minutes for a Hex happy hour with Buckamentals and Dylan. We're gonna talk all about this crazy election that we're about to witness the results from this evening. The Richard Hart SEC court case, pretty much everything that dealing with that ecosystem, latest crypto news, Bitcoin, Ethereum. So join us in an hour and 40-ish minutes, and we hope to see you there. And that's all I got. And I guess we'll call it a wrap because I got to go vote before the show. So I'm going to duck out in between shows, get my vote in, and drag as many people as I can with me to do it. And let's go crypto. That's all I got to say.
Absolutely.
Let's go freedom.
Freedom. That's Freedom of Speech Week. That's why. Thanks, Steph. Thanks, Big K. Thanks, Brandon. And yeah, we'll see you soon, everybody. Real soon. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.